You're watching Leafs Morning Take with host Nick Alberga and former NHLer Jay Rosehill. The show starts now.
Oh yes, the big day finally here. Happy 40th birthday to my co-host Jay Rosehill. It's Nick Alberga and Jay Rosehill. The latest summer edition of Leafs Morning Take presented by Bet365. Happy 40th, Rosie. How are you, buddy?
Yeah, thanks, man. Appreciate it. People who have reached out. I don't love birthdays all that much, and it feels weird having everyone talk about it for a day, but much appreciate. Yeah, it's a big one, I guess, 4-0, right?
It gave me a reason to dig up your first of 5.5 goals in the NHL. I posted it on Twitter before starting today's show. What a beauty. I think it was Jamal Mayers who set you up.
It was. I just snuck in behind the D-man, and there it was, and I just frantically started batting at it like a mutant, and it went in. But, yeah, it was weird, man. Whirlwind week, made the team, was playing in Game 1, scored in Game 3 against the defending Cup champs and the Penguins, and Crosby and Malkin and on Marc-Andre. It was pretty wild week, man, but, yeah, some good times. And as I look, it is getting to be further and further into the past as I keep getting older. As I mentioned, I'm 40, but good memories. Thanks for that.
Not a big deal. And I love seeing players score their first in the show. How horny were you when you scored that goal, man? Just the excitement. It just, you can feel it. You can sense it when a player scores their first, whether it's Austin Matthews scoring 4 times on opening night or Jay Rosehill. You can see in their face how long it took to get to that moment. I'm sure it was the same for you.
Yeah, you could see the excitement on my face. I'm wearing that terrible CCM bucket. I'm not sure why. I don't know if it was Armstrong Army or what, because he was wearing that thing too. But god damn, is that an ugly bucket? But no, pure jubilation. Just can't believe it. One of my really good buddies was right behind the net too, and he was right there for it. It's stuff you can't replicate, stuff they can't take away. But some pretty awesome times as you look back now. And it's always funny why the video from like 2009 or 2010 looks like it's from fucking 1976. What is with that? Is it just, it didn't look like that at the time, right? We had HD. Yeah. It just makes me laugh pulling up old videos going, why do they got to make it look like it's from 84?
Technology gets better and better. That's the only response I have for you. So I'm sure when we look at tape of Austin Matthews' first goal, for example, in 15 years from now, it'll look a lot different than it did in real time. My bigger question is, what was the celebration like that night? So you score your first NHL goal. I think it had to be, a Saturday night if you're playing Pittsburgh. How did you respond? Did you hit the road right away? Did you hit the bars?
I don't remember, to be honest. I remember after my first game that I'm dumb. My dad and his buddy were there, flew in late on the red eye the day before, kind of unexpectedly. And we just went out for a couple of beers and a dinner, and it was weird for the people at the restaurant are kind of looking over at you. Someone else was there with their family too on the team. I don't know, Freddie Schustrom or Primo or something. I can't remember.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just like, wow, just starting off. I can't remember after that particular goal though, what I did any different. But beers were drank and reflection was done after that kind of stuff. It's funny talking about it because there's guys that have done so much more, and I piddly little 5 goals and whatever. But it's fun to look back and reminisce a little bit at that part of it.
Do not sell yourself short. It was 5.5 goals. Anybody who watches or listens to this podcast will never forget that. Our Super Chat charity partner this season is Sick Kids. Want to make sure that your question or comment gets on the show. Hit us up with a Super Chat. Proceeds from our Super Chat will go to Sick Kids, ranked the number 1 research-intensive children's hospital in Canada and 3rd in the world. So later on today, we're finally going to find out when Pontus Holmberg makes his return to Toronto in 25-26. And a couple people in the chat have brought up the fact that hello, Pontus, we're going to have to retire that saying on this podcast.
Not when he returns to the Air Canada Centre. Hello, Pontus. It's good to see you again. Scotiabank story. Scotiabank. Keep calling it the ACC. Pontus will come back. Don't worry.
Jokes aside, we are waiting to find out the date, and we wonder if Bruce Cassidy last week on the show hinted that they could come early in the season, whether it's October or November. But that's the first thing I'll be looking at on the schedule when it's released at 1 p.m. Eastern time today is Mitch Marner's return to Scotiabank Arena. Should be a good one, Rosie.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see him and see if he's going extra hard and.
Oh, that's my thing. I want to see the effort level for a regular season game.
Oh,
You
it'll
know,
be heavy. Wonder if he bumps into anyone, or it'll probably be like, honestly, I'm just calling it. It'll be fucking hugs across the red line and pictures taken and lots of chit chat and catching up, and it'll be a bunch of that bullshit, no question about it. But as far as the play goes, I just don't need him to be the one setting up a real nice goal or being the guy to bury, or then what his celly is going to look like. We'll see what happens, but all eyes are going to be on it, no question about it.
oh, dude, there's going to be tummy sticks beyond belief, and I hate to say it, I'm mentally preparing because I know what's going to happen. Where Marner's going to score a game-winning goal or set up a game-winning play. I still vividly remember, and I'm like the biggest Vince Carter fan you'll find. Makes his return with the Nets, and he hit a dagger at the buzzer. Like you could have written that script true to form, and that's exactly what happened. So I'm mentally prepared already. The tummy sticks is what intrigues me. How amazing would that be if the Leafs just try to bury, and I mean bury, Mitch Marner, regardless if the game's at Scotiabank Arena, T-Mobile Arena, Pluto. They know the magic ingredient to take this guy out of the game. And imagine they just came out and they showed their true colors. They started hitting him every shift and pushing him after the whistle, just making life difficult for him.
Well, that's the formula, isn't it? Like, why wouldn't you do that? I'm sure there'll be a bunch of tummy sticks and all the BS. Like after pregame skate, like in the hallway, before the teams kind of cross over and switch the ice for pregame skate, go talk to Mitchie then and take a picture and get a hug. And please don't do it on the ice in warm up, during preparation for the actual game. I would love that. I think this day and age, that's a tall order for these guys. But if they were running him out of the building and shutting him down with physicality, oh my God, I would absolutely love it. And he didn't get that big play, and he didn't make the game winner. And, that would be so Leafy for him to shove it down everyone's throats after leaving here, to absolutely put him on his heels and have him have no answer whatsoever for the style of hockey that's presented to him. That would be sweet as could be, because it would be like, and that's right there why you're no longer here, Mr. Marner.
Example numero uno, and that's a couple things we're looking at from the schedule release today. By the way, we're going to be back with you tomorrow, so we're looking at the Marner game, I guess the Holmberg game. Ryan Reeves and the San Jose Sharks will venture in for their one visit. So a couple things to look forward to this afternoon when the entire schedule comes out. We think we know the season opener will come Wednesday, October 8th. The Leafs will host the Montreal Canadiens. Meantime, baseball fans, if you love the Jays or just can't get enough of big league ball, check out the 6-Inning Stretch, the brand new podcast from the Nation Network, hosted by Lindsey Dunn and 3-time MLB All-Star Whit Merrifield. It's your weekly dose of insider stories, unfiltered takes, exclusive interviews, and all the biggest headlines from around the majors. New episodes drop every Wednesday, so like, follow, and subscribe to the 6-Inning Stretch wherever you get your podcasts, or watch full episodes on the Blue Jays Nation YouTube channel. By the way, did you see what happened last night at the All-Star game? They had like a swing off because they were tied, and half the All-Stars, I didn't know this, but they hit the bird as soon as they're pulled from the game in like the third inning, so nobody was there to really do it but Kyle Schwarber.
So I heard what happened. Wasn't Boone getting just crucified on Twitter for his picks, but you're saying he didn't have any other options, or what?
Yeah, there were minimal options available from what I understand. Full disclosure, I was in and out of the game. I can't watch any All-Star game, never mind the MLB All-Star game, but that's hilarious to me. I found this out yesterday, that when guys are done, like let's say Freddie Freeman checks out in the third inning, he is on that bird back to Los Angeles before the game ends. Like imagine that. So who's left at the end? Who wants the MVP award? Imagine you have a good first two ABs and that's all you get. You hit 2 bombs. Guys don't want to wait around to get that MVP award,
Wow, is that ever embarrassing? Like what is so urgent that you have to rip? Like I get their season is insane and whatnot, but you're there. Can you not just be there for the night, or at least after the game? I didn't know. I knew Boone was getting just hammered online for his picks for the swing off, but it sounds like there's no one left to pick from. They're on the jet and they're out of there. Like shows how much, I don't know, I see both sides of it. Like, fuck, can you give a little bit of a carrot, at least be there at the end for if you're needed, which obviously guys were on the swing off. And on the other side of it, it's like they probably think the All-Star game is bullshit and their season is insane and time with their family is precious. So I get it. But at least they're playing for something in the All-Star game in the MLB, you know, like at least you get home field advantage in the.
I don't think that's a thing anymore, is it?
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Interesting. But yeah, I didn't catch it. I was doing other stuff, but there was a big buzz about the All-Star game last night, which is better than no one even hearing it was going on, I guess.
Yeah, I really couldn't watch, I'll be honest. I watched a Jason Statham movie last night, A Working Man, pretty good. I watched the latest edition of Love Island UK, so I had all avenues covered. We have Pierre McGuire coming up in about 5 minutes here. Don't forget, at the Leafs Nation 401 on YouTube. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Leafs Morning Take wherever you find your podcast. Make sure to leave us a 5-star review. Also, don't forget to visit theleafsnation.com over the weekend. I know it was a tough one for you, Rosie, but I'm sure it helped because you had a couple of Simply Spiked. You got the taste of summer, man. And I think that just relieves everything. Lemonade, peach, and all new limeade. I had a couple over the weekend. I love when the real fruit juice seeps in, the 5% alcohol. It's so refreshing, convenient. I had a good time, and I had a couple of these Simply Spiked last weekend. And this weekend, I'm actually headed to Montreal, so I'm going to bring a couple with me, too.
Yeah, well, like you said, we're in the full swing of summer. That is exactly the time when those go down just right. So keep your eyes out for those at the store when you're picking up something to fill your cooler. They are pretty tasty, I'll tell you that.
Must be legal drinking age. Celebrate responsibly. Why not let birthday like Jay Rosehill's birthday to celebrate? Simply Spike. This is what summer tastes like as we bring in today's guest, longtime NHL executive, broadcaster, coach. He's done everything in this league. It is Pierre McGuire. Pierre, how are you today?
Excellent, Nick. Good to talk to you. Happy birthday, Jay.
Thanks, Pierre, man. I think I'm catching you, man. They're going by too fast.
No, I got too big an advantage. You're not catching me.
Well, I appreciate it.
Yeah, Pierre, thank you so much for doing this. And obviously, this is a big day in these parts because the schedule comes out later on today, and we're all waiting to find out when Mitch Marner will make his return to Scotiabank Arena. But I ask you this as somebody, you know, from the experience you come with and various different capacities and roles in this league, how much stock do you think the league puts into big dates like this one, like a Marner return to Toronto?
A lot. Number one for the gate, but number two, Nick, for the TV number. TV numbers last year were not good. And so they're putting more and more emphasis into that, and they're paying very close attention to the schedule because of those things. Rivalries matter a lot. NBC for 16 years created Rivalry Wednesday. It was a gigantic selling point. It worked amazingly well. And so, you know, you've got to pay attention to those things. They got away from it for a while, and I think they realize now you got to have that. You look at what the NFL did. I'll use them as an example because they're the best TV league in the world. They do it better than anybody else. And what they did was they put the New York Jets playing against the Pittsburgh Steelers. I wonder why they did that on opening night. You can figure it out.
Yeah. So as a coach or a GM, when you look at the schedule, do you put a lot of stock into who you're playing early, what kind of start you're going to get? Are you looking at what's happening rolling into the playoffs if you're needing those points? How much attention are you paying to that schedule when it comes out as a management or a coaching standpoint?
A lot, Jay. It's a fair question, a good question. I think the biggest thing is 2 points in October are the same as 2 points in March. The difference is that you want to get momentum early so that you can stabilize your program. And as a management person, you should be anyways, trying to insulate your coaching staff. So the more success you have early on, the better it is that your players believe in the coaching message that's being presented. If you don't have success, all of a sudden there becomes this little, well, the coaching message isn't very good. Guys aren't believing in the message, and all of a sudden you got a problem on your hands as a management person. So you want to make sure that everything kind of gets out of the gate full steam ahead. But you do definitely pay attention, especially to division games, conference games. Those games matter a lot because, you know, everybody says, oh, 4-point game. They're 4-point games in October, just like they're 4-point games in March.
That's why I'm already bracing, whether it's October or November for Marner's return. They're just going to give the stock answers. It's a big game in the standings. You got to get the 2 points. But what do you envision the reaction being for Mitch Marner's return to Toronto from the fan base and everybody?
It'd be nasty. It'll be a lot like when Tavares went back to Long Island. Very, very similar, which obviously, Jay, you would probably feel for him as a former player in the league. But what happened to John Tavares when he went back to Long Island wasn't very hospitable. And he's about as nice a guy as you're going to get. And he did a lot of amazing things there for the New York Islanders for a long period of time, but it shows you how angry the fans were. You can understand they felt jilted. I think the same thing's going to happen when Mitchell comes back to Toronto. I don't think there'll be any warm and fuzzy stuff when it goes on.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see. I hope it's not too nasty, to be honest. I mean, move on. There's a reason that the fans wanted whatever, but the booing and the jersey check, and I hope it's not that way. But it brings me to my next question. You've been to lots of different markets, and there was a lot of buzz about Toronto and its hockey market and what the fans have to do with it, what the media has to do with it. What's your take overall as just the Toronto Maple Leafs market itself and what that does to the team itself? What's your take on that? It seems to be pretty unique in the league.
I think it's pretty civilized compared to some of the other ones. I was a kid that grew up in Montreal. I remember after Guy Lafleur's first and second year in the league, he was a first overall pick. They wanted him traded out of town. Good thing the management team led by Sam Pollock didn't pay attention to what the media and what the fans were saying, or Guy Lafleur would have been punted. And that's way back, but still, it's hard. Montreal's a hard market. Vancouver's a hard market. Tried being in Edmonton the last little while. Jay, you know that market pretty well. So, no, I think that there are lots of hard markets. Boston's not an easy market. New York Rangers is a very difficult market. Detroit hasn't played a playoff game since 2015 in their new building at Little Caesars Arena. That's a hard market. Think about what's gone on in Chicago since the 2015 Stanley Cup. So there are a lot of hard markets. There really are. There are a lot of hard markets. There's some markets you can hide in. There's no question. Toronto's not one of them. But if you're any player that's any good and you want to compete, the Toronto market's about as good as there is to play. And you are revered if you win. And if you don't win, you're going to get kicked right in the butt. That's just how it is. And you should look forward to that.
Pierre, there's a lot of pundits out there that are trying to tell the hockey universe that this Maple Leafs team is just substantially worse without Mitch Marner. And again, the proof will be in the pudding, but how do you view this team? Like, there's a lot of people out there saying the Leafs could struggle even to make the playoffs.
I'll never disrespect anybody's opinion, but I'm allowed to have my own opinion too if they're going to have an opinion. Most of those people never saw Michelli play. I've seen him play a lot over in Finland or over here in North America. He's a vastly underrated player. His hockey sense is exquisite. Maybe one of the better pure depth players in the league that nobody really knows. So I think he's going to do really well. Nick Roy is going to, I think, thrive in his position. Obviously, as probably a third center. I think you're going to see some tremendous hockey from him. The biggest thing to me is the depth on defense is still there, and it's getting better all the time. They've got depth in goal, which they haven't had. I think last year when Stolarz got hurt and Woll went in, it gave him an opportunity to even improve his game. I know they didn't finish the way most people wanted, but those are valuable reps and experience. I'm more bullish on Toronto than maybe most people. But here's the biggest thing, and Nick, Jay can speak to this. When you have the depth down the middle, Matthews, Tavares, Roy, or Roy, I'll use a French pronunciation, and Lawton. And then I don't even count David Kampf. Like, there's huge depth down the middle in Toronto that I don't think people respect nearly enough.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like it. Where do you think, if something could be done before the season started in terms of a trade or a way to make that team better, where do you see it happening? And is there any names that stand out that you think would be a good fit?
I don't know about names that would, stand out. I do think there are lots of players out there that might be available because I do think you're going to see, Jay, a lot more trading before we get to the start of training camp. I just think there are a lot of teams that have unfinished business from the summer, especially because a lot of the free agents got signed by their own teams. But I would say if Toronto could get a top six scorer, and I don't mean a top six in the league scorer, a person, obviously in the first two lines, I think that would help. And if they could get one more puck-moving defenseman, I think getting Henry Thrun from San Jose is going to surprise some people in a positive way, not a negative way. I saw Henry play when he was a kid at St. Mark's. I saw Henry play at the U.S. National Team Development Program. I saw him play at Harvard for his entire career there, where he was a captain his last year. He was, by the way, contrary to what all the media is saying, he was not drafted by San Jose. He was drafted by Anaheim. He was traded by Anaheim to San Jose. And that's a bone I got to pick with a lot of people. Stop reading the internet if you're going to write columns. Actually know where players were drafted by. That's one thing that set me off on Henry Thrun's acquisition in Toronto. I saw these people say, oh, he was drafted by San Jose. No, he wasn't. He was drafted by Anaheim. He was traded to San Jose because his agent, Matt Cater, created an amazing opportunity for him to play more in San Jose and showcase himself. I think he was a good pickup skill-wise, and I think you'll be very impressed by his ability to move the puck. He needs to get harder in his own zone, but I think he can do that, and he's a great first pass defenseman. So I'm very excited about him being part of the Leafs too.
Very curious about that deal, and also curious what Brad Treliving has up his sleeve for the rest of the offseason. But I tell you, these Kadri rumors won't go away. They will not go away. It seems like somebody puts them to bed, they come back, and it just keeps circling back to Kadri being open to being a Maple Leaf again. Do you like that potential fit of bringing Kadri back here?
I'm a huge Naz fan, and I hope he knows that. I think he does. World Junior, I saw him get cut once. I saw him make a team another time, and he was really good in both instances. I never liked the way he was beaten up by the fan base in Toronto because of the penalties, especially in the Bruins series. He was a young, aggressive kid. He's trying to make hard plays. He's trying to play with an identity. Jay knows that. I love doing games that Jay played in because he had an identity. You knew what Jay was going to provide when he played. Just like I thought Colton Orr was one of those players. He knew what his identity was. He went out and provided what you had to have. And I thought Naz played to his identity a lot when he was in Toronto. He wouldn't be intimidated by the market. He's already won a Stanley Cup. I think he brings a lot to the party. I think he'd be a great teammate. If they could get Naz, that'd be great. Imagine having a center ice position now that we were just talking about with Matthews, with Tavares, with Kadri, with Waugh, with Lawton. You have a pretty darn good center ice position.
Big time. What, speaking of a guy that can play that way, Easton Cowan, coming down the barrel. We've talked a lot about the jump from major junior to the NHL and, those under 20s not being able to play in the American League. Now guys are starting to talk about NCAA route in between the two. But for the specific situation of Easton Cowan, how do you think the management is going to handle him? Is it up to him completely, or do you think they have a plan for this young fella?
I think the plan's going to be come in and earn a job. And if you can, it's going to be great. There's sometimes where, and I've been through this before as somebody, whether it's as a coach or a management person, where you're kind of hoping a guy can come in and snatch a job because they make it cap friendly because they're an entry level. It excites your fan base, and I think it excites your locker room too when you got a young guy coming in that can really produce offensively. So Jay, I think it would be really important if he could come in and earn a job. He's coming off with major street cred after winning the Memorial Cup in London. He's represented Canada before in the World Junior. Obviously didn't go the way they wanted the last couple of years, but he's been a really good player for a long time for a marquee franchise with the London Knights led by the Hunter brothers. And when you come out of the Hunter School of Hockey, more times than not, you're probably a little bit more ready for NHL hockey than most kids that haven't experienced, playing for the Hunter brothers out in London. So I hope he earns a job there. I think he's going to really push for one, and I think it'd be like found money for the Leafs if he could do that.
I like that. Like, let the kid dictate where he's going to be. I mean, much similar last year to an extent. I know Fraser Minton banged up, didn't take part in training camp, but I thought the pathway was pretty smart from the Maple Leafs perspective too, is let him marinate in the American Hockey League, bring him up. He had a couple moments. And I just think, especially in this market, you probably speak to this, both of you guys, but you got to be a bit more careful in the way you present the package that is Easton Cowan. But I think if he's there, Pierre, and he just shows he can make this team and produce and contribute, then you put him on the roster, right? It's pretty easy.
Yeah, I would say, under promise and over deliver, Nick. I love what you just said because I completely agree with you. You don't have to say, oh, yeah, we got this guy being on the first line and he's going to play with X, Y, and Z. You don't have to do that. I didn't like what Edmonton did. Rosie, I don't know if you agree with me or not on this, but, as soon as they got Isaac Howard from Michigan State, obviously through Tampa Bay, he's going to play with McDavid and he's going to play with I'm like, what? How do you think Nugent Hopkins feels when he hears that? How do you think Draisaitl feels when he hears that? Let's see him come in and actually earn an NHL spot. As a kid that had to come out and battle your way to get an NHL uniform, you know what that's all about. And I don't want to put more pressure on a guy than should be there. So I hope that the Leafs would just create a situation where he comes in and plays his way into the lineup with no previous expectation.
Yeah, it's got to be the way to go. It seems weird when people teams that should know better too, set a guy up for, any hiccup to be a disaster. It's like, why would you make it harder? Like, why not leave it open for the most, prosperous path you could possibly have and let the kid dictate and give him some room? But it's interesting. But you talked about Michelli coming in here, and you've seen him and known him in the past. Is you think about Austin Matthews and who's going to get him the pill now that, a premier disher and Mitch Marner is gone. Do you think Michelli's got that spot locked down? Or obviously they wouldn't say that, as we just talked about, but in your mind, is that a good fit?
It is a good fit, but I could see Willie Nylander getting the first crack to play with Austin Matthews and Matthew Nyes, Jay. But Michelli's really good. His peripheral vision is phenomenal. He's not afraid to have the puck on his stick in confined areas. He can spin away from traffic. He's got great confined two-step acceleration, so he can break free from defenders. But what I like is he's a really slick passer. He's not a hard passer. He's a slick passer. He can make really creative plays. He's more of a playmaker than he is a pure finisher. So I see a lot of real positive stuff for him. I thought that was a great acquisition. And I don't know what part of the Leafs organization pushed for that, whether it was Trey Living because he was connected with Arizona and that's where Michelli was, or whether it was Max Domi, who was once upon a time part of Arizona, or maybe it was internal with the scouting department and maybe Shane Doan, who obviously knew him from Arizona as well. But whomever was responsible, I think they stole a player. He's a really, really talented kid.
Yeah, and to your point, just to wrap, I think the sex appeal maybe not there with the Nick Waz of the world and the Michellis, but I think they actually did a pretty damn good job, all things considered, here in the offseason. Still far from complete for sure, and there's a lot of time between now and opening night, so we'll see what happens. Pierre, I know you're in the midst of moving, so I appreciate you taking some time today for us.
What gave it away? The boxes in the background?
Pretty much. Exactly it, Pierre, exactly it.
It's amazing. It's my wife and I, this is house 7, but for me it's 15, house 15. And this will be the last one. This is the last one.
Probably getting pretty good at packing, Pierre.
Very good at it, Jay. That's exactly right. I've had so much fun with you guys. Thanks a lot. Enjoy your summers.
Thank you.
As well. You're the best. That's Pierre McGuire, an absolute beauty, breaking things down. And I just love what he said specifically on Cowan, man. Like, I think you let the player decide. I think especially in this market, you don't know what's going to happen. He could have a hot camp, but I think you got to trust your instincts. And that's the one thing I took away from last year was like Minton. Like, and I think it honestly helped that Minton didn't take part in training camp because that decision wasn't there. But I think you just got to be very careful with the way you tread with a Cowan and make sure he's 1,000% ready before promoting him to the NHL here.
Yeah, and listen, making the NHL is hard enough, let alone making the Maple Leafs is hard enough. There's so much noise and everything else. Why would you do anything but just present it to the kid and say it's yours for the taking? Like, it's very simple. I mean, and that's Pierre's immediate answer to it was see if he comes in, earns a job. It's just simple. It's not, we think you're ready, blah, blah, blah. Or, just to let you know, like, no matter what you do in camp, like, we're going to get you some time to fill out in the American, like, none of that. Just, yeah, you're just a player. Come, and if you wow us and you show that you earn the job and you deserve this spot, then you'll have it. Very simple. And if you don't, it's not like you've let everybody down. It's not like this thing was built up and then comes tumbling down. It's just a simple hockey deal, and sometimes that gets lost in that market with the exposure and all of the eyeballs and whatnot. I think that's well said, though. It's just very simply come in. If you earn a job, you'll be there. If not, down the road you'll improve or things will change and you can have another crack at it, basically. So it'd be interesting to watch him in camp, no question.
At the Leafs Nation 401, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. This segment is brought to you by our good friends over at Greta Bar YYZ, the ultimate hangout spot in Toronto. Whether you're catching the big game, diving into some classic arcade action, or grabbing some unreal street food, Greta Bar's got you covered. For more info, head on over to gretabar.com. That's gretabar.com, 590 King Street West, Greta Bar. Let the games begin. So I know I sort of referenced it in the interview, but the Kadri rumors just won't go away. Nick Caprios, I guess, in an article yesterday and some hits for Sportsnet, said 2 teams that Kadri continues to be linked to that he appears willing to lift his no-move clause for are the Montreal Canadiens and the Toronto Maple Leafs. The Kadri rumors, again, won't go away. And you can't forget as well who the agent is. It is Darren Ferris.
Yeah, well, I remember Naz when I was there when he got drafted and made the team and was a rookie, and his family is a massive Habs family. Like, it was crazy. It was really not hard, but like, yikes when he got drafted to Toronto, because they're a big time Montreal Canadiens family. Obviously that changed over time, but I can see why that would be on his radar, kind of a bucket list for himself and his family. But I just think about his time in Toronto and how it came to an end, and remember him, making a couple bad hits and getting suspended and punted and kind of hurting the team a little bit. And it seemed like that was the bye-bye, like, you're going to hurt us doing shit like that. Bye-bye. And now that time's gone on, you look back at how the game's evolved and the way the game's played, and you're like, my God, like, could they ever have used a bit of Kadri in the past handful of seasons, right? So he's got the experience of a cup under his belt. He's more of a veteran now. I don't think that would be a problem, him kind of losing his head and running around and crossing the line and getting kicked out or suspended or the 5-minute majors or whatever. But man, he still plays with some sand and some salt, and that's been so missing against teams like the Florida Panthers. Like, you just need that in spades, and he could bring it. What's he make? $7.5 million bucks?
I think it's 7. Yeah.
Be interesting to see. Yeah, like you said, the rumors won't go away, and is his agent perpetuating that and trying to get things circulating and get things percolating? Who knows? But I just wonder, like, what can we give up to get him? How quickly are the Flames to move on him? How well are they willing to work with Treliving, as we've seen in the past? That's kind of, there's been some weird animosity there. But I mean, I just can't imagine it would include like a Morgan Riley or something like that. Like, we would probably like to get out from that Morgan Riley contract, as I don't think he's performing up to it. Maybe he could elsewhere. Maybe someone else thinks that. It wouldn't be a 1-for-1, but I don't know, man. Very interesting. The thought of Naz back in a Leafs uniform is definitely enticing.
All I'll say is that there's been rumors that Calgary covets or likes Brandon Carlo. You're right. Like, it's been said time and time again. Can they make it work trade-wise, Calgary and Toronto, because of all the baggage there with Brad Treliving? When Pierre brought up the fact that you could think about what they'd have up the middle, well, they did have that up the middle, right? They had Matthews, they had Tavares, they had Kadri. Not Kadri after winning a Stanley Cup and Kadri seasoned and being a veteran. I think it's a different story, but that's the irony to this entire conversation, is that the Leafs felt the need to deal Nazem Kadri because he was too physical and too intense and crossed the line in the Stanley Cup playoffs. And now that's all they're looking for, is guys who actually give a fuck in the playoffs. It's actually crazy. And dude, I was in the thick of things, was a big fan, still am, when that deal went down. I remember it was on NHL Network Radio. I looked at Twitter and I was like Tyson Barrie and Alex Kerfoot. Like, they felt like they were just in such a rush to trade Nazem Kadri. I just wonder if it was anybody else on this planet but Kyle Dubas to make that deal, what kind of return you would get. Because Barry was finished by then. He wasn't the same player. And Alex Kerfoot, pretty decent regular season guy, but that's a theme with this entire team. He's too small, gets lost. It's just like bewildering to think that they had Nazem Kadri and at a good price tag. You got to credit Lou Lamoriello for the price tag that he signed this guy to. Like, it was a team-friendly deal then. It would be like a home run right now, and they just let that slip away. And then he goes to Colorado, and that's the concern right now, Rosie, with Mitch Marner. Goes to Vegas, and that's going to be at the back of the minds of everybody in Leafs Nation next year and the ensuing 7 years. Is like, what if this guy goes and win a cup,
Yeah, no, I get it. To me, it's like maybe Vegas wins a cup. That doesn't really sting all that much more to me. Like, good for you.
Yeah.
You went to a team that has X, Y, and Z, and you break down how the playoffs went for them, and that's why they won the cup. Like, big deal. Obviously, you'd rather have that happened here, but it's not that stinging. It's not like, oh, he won a cup, we definitely should have kept him. Like, fucking, what does that mean? It's a completely different team. So I don't really care about that so much, but it's just looking back at the Nas thing, to bring him back, there'd be a lot of noise of, oh my God, here we go. Like, oh, we're going back to the guys that you mentioned he already played with, Tavares and Nylander. We're going back to the guys that we already know don't work. There'd be a big bunch of that going on. But, if you're looking at it even a little bit more in detail, this team's totally different than it was in the past. Their back end's different. Their tenders are different. The guys have matured. There's veterans that were, young guys before. And the game has kind of changed in a way too, where a guy like Nas is desperately needed in those fights and in those battles and in those series that you can get into. So I understand there'd be noise about we're bringing back people that we've already gone through. That would happen in Toronto. There'd be people that would say that, no doubt, but I would be into it. I'd be invested in it. I think he's the kind of player that is just like that. You could just see him round out the attitude of the team really well. That would complement a lot of things in a 7-game series.
It's amazing to me what winning does for a player's track record. Like, if you recall, even Alex Ovechkin, like before he won the Stanley Cup, people were like, this guy can't get the job done. He wins the cup. He's won one cup, and now he's like some all-time winner. And I understand he's got the most goals ever. But even Kadri, like, he wins one cup with Colorado, and it carries so much weight. It really does. And I'm just curious, like, one of these, like, what if Pontus Holmberg, or, bad comparison, but like Mitch Marner go and win a cup? Does that perspective change that much from players like that,
Yeah, it's funny how much it does do. But now that we've, when we immerse ourselves in a series or a playoff run with this team, you get into situations, you get into elimination games, you get into the game 6s and the game 7s, and it helps to have a guy who knows what it's like and knows what it looks like and knows what it feels like and can rely on that experience, right? That's what it is, experience. It doesn't really matter what job in the whole world you're talking about. Pouring concrete or doing landscaping or being a lawyer or an athlete or whatever, having experience in what you're doing is just so valuable. So I get why it is funny how guys' stock just skyrockets because they happen to be on a team that did it all. But on the other hand, having a guy that knows what that looks like is pretty valuable as well. And I remember Nas coming into the league as a rookie. God, he was rough around the edges in a lot of different ways and hilarious at that too. But I imagine now he has got so much experience under his belt. He'd be a player who knows what it looks like, knows what he's doing, and knows what he's trying to accomplish if he did happen to move teams. And like I said, I think he'd bring a lot of value to the Maple Leafs.
It's interesting, too, because I've felt the attachment to Kadri for so long because I covered him in junior. As you know, I went to school in London. He was a Londonite, and he was beloved in that city. And then they brought in John Tavares, and it was Kadri and Tavares up the middle. Like, they had such a grinding roster. And then we see it happen in Toronto, and it's just like, I think ultimately people want answers. And there's this curiosity, like, what's the perfect formula to win in the Stanley Cup playoffs? Man, if we had that answer, we'd be billionaires. Nobody's got the answer. So ultimately, we think it's people who have won before. How many different guys have come into this market? Other markets have won before. They go to that market, they don't win. Like the perception on Corey Perry, he goes to the Cup final, does not win, right? Like I just think it's so interesting that you add so much more value. Not you, but like the hockey world in general adds so much more value on somebody who wins as opposed to somebody who hasn't won before.
Yeah, I get it. And some of that's luck, right? I mean,
sure,
Corey Perry, that's just luck that he A, got to that many finals, and B, that he didn't win any. That's just the luck of the draw. And sometimes a guy, I mean, go look at guys with cup rings who had nothing to do with them and were just kind of along for the ride and got lucky to be put in that position where they have all these other superstars that got the job done. Fine, that you're lucky to get it done. It's not like you're going to take every single guy who's ever had a ring, put them on a team, and they're going to win a fucking Stanley. Like, it doesn't work that way. That's silly. Yeah. But again, the experience that I talked about is valuable, and anyone who's got that experience is certainly better off than one with none. So Kadri's up. The thing with me, like with Kadri, if we're still talking about him, I like the experience that he's won, knows how it looks like, fine. But even without that, just the way he plays, I think has been a missing ingredient here. And you talk about no one knows what the ingredients is how to win a cup. Well, Florida seems to have her figured out pretty goddamn good. and everyone else seems to be trying to copy that. And what do? They have this fierce identity where they play together and are no holds barred and will go through a wall, and it doesn't matter what you present, they just keep coming and coming and coming. I mean, that is the formula, if you ask me. And Nazem Kadri brings a lot of that, and it happens to be kind of what these Leafs are lacking as well.
And again, I think the path is there for the Maple Leafs. I didn't feel that way maybe 5 years ago when I was heavily scrutinizing, the executives and the coaching. Like, it was more so like who they brought in and were serious about winning a Stanley Cup. Where now, like, they have a long and meaner blue line. They got a crease. They got some studs up front, and now it's insulating those guys. But even despite the fact that it's been a very quiet offseason, I feel particularly good about this team right now as we head into 25-26 again, scheduled release day. At the Leafs Nation 401, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. So the Leafs signed prospect Miroslav Halenka to a 3-year ELC, selected in the 5th round of the 2024 draft, notched 19 goals, 45 points in 47 games last season with the WHL's Edmonton Oil Kings. So we'll monitor him. And also Ty Voigt was placed on unconditional waivers to terminate the contract. According to David Alter of the Hockey News, this was an amicable decision for both parties to part ways, and the Leafs took him in the 5th round of the 2021 draft. Also the same year they selected one Matthew Knies.
Yeah, whoop-de-doo. I don't. Yeah, cool news, I guess. Yeah, I don't care.
Fair enough. Henry Thrun
4 years ago. Whatever. Hopefully he has success somewhere else. You get caught up in organizations that draft you. Sometimes you get lost in the ether and in the fray, and you need to get the hell out.
Meantime, just to wrap, Henry Thrun revealed to the media that he was watching Top Gun when he learned of his trade to the Leafs. He'll wear number 3, by the way, which I think is a curse, more so because John Klingberg wore that in Toronto. And your boy, who now lives in Los Angeles, who won't come on this podcast, your former captain who controlled the room with his music taste, Dion Phaneuf.
Oh, my God. So many stupid takes and meaningless things going on, but no, Thrun, that's cool. I wonder if he was watching Maverick or Top Gun, but
that's what I wanted to.
I've been a little lost actually since you were talking about like the Dubas era and whatnot, and like I remember being drafted to the Tampa Bay Lightning. They won the Cup that year. Got drafted in 2003. They won it in 2004, and they loaded up, and they already were loading up on big defensemen, like big, heavy playing D-man. And like, that was the end all be all in their mind. They had all their meetings, and their brass and their scouts came together, and they said, big, heavy moving D-man. That's what we want. And they just freaking loaded up on them, myself included. And then the 2005 lockout happened. Obstruction comes in. They opened the game up like crazy. And Tampa was fact for like a long time. Like, all those prospects didn't pan out. The game changed completely. You couldn't even put your stick between a guy's legs as a defenseman. And they've got like 8 monster D-men that play physical. And they were screwed. And I think about the Leafs too during the Dubas era, like, they were in on the analytics. They were in on the crunching of the numbers and the Corsi bullshit. They were like, score, score, score. Like, it's all about scoring more goals. And they forgot about defense. They forgot about goaltending. I don't blame them for drafting the guys they did. How do you pass up a Matthews, a Marner, a Nylander, those types of guys? But they just built this team, and the league kind of passed it by. And then the Florida Panthers style of hockey is like, no, this is still how you win in the playoffs. And they're out in the cold standing there going, well, we don't play that way. We want to win 7-6. And it's just funny to look back on what happened and look at the prospects that they're moving on, the contracts that Lamoriello had, some of the decisions Dubas made, and what we're left with. It just makes you, I don't know, maybe the summer is a good time to look back at that kind of thing and analyze it a little bit. But I see a lot of parallels there from when I was coming up through Tampa.
It's scary to think like the last 10 years, blink of an eye, done. And you get closer and closer to retirement for guys like Matthews and Nylander and Tavares. Jeez. And they just really have not accomplished anything. Like, it's how many cracks at this thing, like a decade long. And that's why I think they're back on the right path to success. Even in year one, Craig Berube was able to do something Sheldon Keefe wasn't able to do, get to, game 7 of round 2, just the way they changed their DNA and the way they play hockey and how directional they are. And the North-South type brand, I think, is more conducive to success. And they're better equipped to handle teams like the Florida Panthers, as we saw here, ultimately losing in game 7. But I hate to say it, I think they're closer. They're right there. I mean, all the buzzwords you want to use in this Leafs team, I do feel good about them right now. I do.
Yeah, I would agree. Reason to believe, man. It's gonna be a fun fall, seeing where the chips fall, what this team looks like. But I'm actually excited and I'm optimistic.
It's time now for the last call, brought to you by Bet365. Whatever your bet is, it's never ordinary at Bet365. Download the app and get in on the game. Use code NATION. That's NATION, NATION. Must be 19 or older. Ontario only. Please play responsibly. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem, visit ConnexOntario.ca. I'm not sure what the number is in front of me, but I'll take the over Austin Matthews goals. I know we didn't get to that conversation with Pierre McGuire. Again, and I loved his answer about, like, when I asked about, like, some people are pegging the Leafs to miss the playoffs. He's like, with all due respect, I can have my opinion, and it differs from them. Austin Matthews is a guy, I don't think he needs Mitch Marner. He is the best goal scorer, pound for pound, on the planet, with all the respect to the Ovechkin crowd. And I think he comes back. I think next year he's got a long off season, does his thing, gets healthy, and I think he comes back. So I'm taking the over in Matthews' goals next season.
I like it. Yeah, I mean, if you look at his career, he's traditionally gone hot season, cool off, hot season, cool off. And after his hot 69-goal season, he cooled off last year, no question. I do worry about his health and the injuries, but he could easily get hot again this coming season. And I like what Pierre said about Michelli. Like, he's got that peripheral vision. He's a little spot passer and you know, not necessarily a direct straight line bullet passer, but like finds those, I don't want to say cute little passes, and maybe there'll be times when he does try to make a cute pass and you roll your eyes, but I'm thinking down low, off the cycle, that type of thing. His vision, he pots a little sauce or, you know, moves one through a triangle quick right on Austin Matthews' stick. Boom. I could see them hooking up and having some chemistry. So that'll be exciting to watch if that transpires. If he ends up playing with Austin Matthews, I'm sure there will be times where they will certainly be on the ice together. But my bet is that they absolutely make the playoffs. I'm not sure. You have to dig a little bit on 365 to find that in the futures bet, but them making the playoffs, I think, is very, very likely to happen. And I think they're going to be a damn good team, personally.
I agree. Any big plans for the birthday celebration today?
Not too much. Just me and my boys at home here. My wife's working, coming home. I might go for some beer and some wings later, unless there's a dinner. I haven't really been told if there's anything happening, but we've already exhausted the birthday, and I have celebrated.
You had your birthday party for 8 days 2 weeks ago. I remember that. It was like a whole weekend of celebrating.
Yeah, it's a blur of 40th birthday. So thanks to anyone who wished me happy birthday, and moving on to being 40 tomorrow.
Do we have a pec update from you or what?
Yeah, I tore my pec, partially tore my bicep, and they don't know about surgery, so I'm on an urgent MRI list, which I don't know how long that'll take. So we will see, but no fun in that department. Makes me definitely feel my age, but we'll get her sorted. She'll heal.
Wakeboarding at 40. There you have it, folks. That's a wrap on today's podcast. We're going to be back tomorrow to analyze the shit out of the schedule. When's Holberg coming back? When's Murray coming back? He's not coming back. He's going to be in the AHL. When's Revo coming back? And when's Mitch Marner coming back? You'll find out tomorrow on Leafs Morning Take. Rosie, great stuff. We'll talk on Thursday, buddy.
Sounds good. We'll see you then.
At the Leafs Nation 401, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Leafs Morning Take, wherever you find your podcast. Make sure to leave us a 5-star review. And don't forget to visit LeafsNation.com. Thank you once again to Pierre McGuire for dropping by today. Thank you to producer Vic. For Jay Rosehill, I'm Nick Alberga. We'll talk on Thursday. Take care, everybody. Make sure to check out more of our content right here on the Leafs Nation YouTube page. We got long-form interviews. We got clips. We got epic rants by Jay Rosehill. We simply have it all. And don't forget, you can find out much more at theleafsnation.com. Thanks so much for watching.